So after months of anticipation, the long-awaited Rengoku Gaiden Demon Slayer spin-off manga is nearly here. This is something that Demon Slayer fans have been able to look forward to for a while, as the previous installment centered on Gyu Tomioka is to me one of the best pieces of Demon Slayer media out there. All of which we covered in its own dedicated video that included color pages that are, as always, done in-house by us here at Plot Armor. It's a really good one that unfortunately got screwed views-wise by false copyright strikes just as it began to rise up. So if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you change that. But although Rengoku's chapter isn't out just yet, we did actually receive a surprise Rengoku chapter written and drawn by Gotoge Sensei himself. A short story that centers on Rengoku prior to becoming a Hashira. Now this pretty much like all Demon Slayer backstories is pretty sad, as we open up with Rengoku Sr. speaking to his son, telling him that he and his brother are far too lacking to ever be accomplished swordsmen, and so they shouldn't cling onto unrealistic aspirations for the future. That he will be the last Flame Hashira, that Rengoku cannot take his place. At this time, Rengoku's father was the current Flame Hashira, and Rengoku himself was just a new recruit. And with this, Rengoku questions to himself whether or not somebody needs the acceptance or recognition of others to truly pursue their dreams. Furthermore, wondering if the lack of such skill or strength beyond the norm renders any hard work or desire to help others null and void. A conundrum he finds himself with as he overlooks his young brother struggling to swing a sword. From here, his brother would notice him as he'd become flustered and embarrassed on account of such an unskilled display. But Rengoku assured his little brother that there was no reason to be ashamed as he was training hard, and that is a wonderful thing. Which just put the absolute brightest smile on his brother's face, as he has here been given the acknowledgement and recognition that Rengoku himself questioned the worth of. Past that, Rengoku tells his brother to protect the fort while he's gone, as it's time for his very first mission. And as he rushes off towards his target, his brother calls out to him, saying that he is going to work really hard to be just like him, which completely left Rengoku speechless and in shock, as it caused a memory of his to resurface. A memory of a time during final selection that he heard the same words. It was from a young boy about the same age as him that praised Rengoku while expressing his desire to become strong like him, so that he can protect his friends and others, so that nobody will ever lose their families to demons ever again. With this, Rengoku wasn't exactly sure how to respond, as he himself wasn't anyone particularly special or accomplished, but he tried his best anyways. But as he looked to the pure expression of this ever grateful boy before him, with tears streaming from his eyes, he hesitated, then going on to say, "Let's work hard together." Rengoku would then go on to reflect on this moment, thinking to himself that a statement like that is usually really easy to express. Yet for some reason, he hesitated, then truly admitting that it's because he expected the kid to die. And with that, he began to think of his father and why he had grown so cold towards him and his brother. That perhaps it was because he didn't want them to die. But ultimately, he can't say for sure, as that's for his father to express. Following that, we then actually get to see Rengoku on his very first mission, which was far from a simple task. Here sat a demon of elderly visage that recognized Rengoku to be the reinforcements of his recent victims, stating that one person certainly cannot be enough, but that he wouldn't be lonely as he'd be able to join his comrades before long, as he'd slaughtered 9 demon slayers and sucked out the innards of 5 children, then correcting himself to 4 as one was still alive and crying. With this, the words of his father would chime through Rengoku's mind, that death often comes for comrades who you've recently shared a laugh with, as he thought to himself just how horrible demons are. And with that, a flame was ignited within him as he immediately slashed forwards with an erupting heat, with the demon dodging out of the way, quickly drawing upon and subsequently playing a small flute. This bizarre flute letting out a terrible sound as it became covered with pulsing veins. In response to this, Rengoku would quickly hit onto and cover his ears as suddenly 2 ferocious canine creatures would magically appear in aid of the demon, which would then lead to the demon speaking in preemptive triumph, stating that Rengoku was at a severe disadvantage as he can't cover his ears and swing his sword simultaneously, and as such, he wouldn't be able to properly fight. Then noticing that Rengoku hadn't moved a muscle, saying that he must have noticed that if he takes even the slightest movement, that he would collapse and fall to the ground, as this demonic flute disrupts a person's nervous system. That despite all the training one might do, it all becomes meaningless when he plays his flute. That his dogs will feast upon Rengoku's body as he falls and flails in agony. With that, the creatures would charge towards Rengoku, who was simultaneously thinking about how life is but a series of decisions. One where you don't have unlimited options or time, but what you decide in each and every instance defines who you are. The Demon Slayers, people who live for the sake of protecting others with such pure dedication, are to him so very precious, that they risk their lives not for the praise or admiration of others, but simply because they feel that they must, that what they chose in such moments of peril is an outcry from the furthest depths of their being. As he then, in a single fiery stroke of his blade, lobs off the heads of these beasts, with his blade continuing towards the neck of the demon, then taking his head from his shoulders like the jaws of a flaming predator. This left the demon in disbelief, as such a thing should not have been possible, even if he did cover his ears. Then realizing that Rengoku hit his own ears so hard that it ruptured his eardrums, which is not a pleasant sensation, let me tell you. Rengoku would then go on to explain that his comrades used sign language to express the demon's ability, that although they couldn't entirely control their bodies, making the message jumbled, it was just enough for him to figure it out. And with that, the demon was now in utter distress, as he was apparently to be one of the moons. With that, Rengoku would hold on to the last survivor as he thanked his fallen comrades for their service, thanking them for fighting until the bitter end to save lives beyond their own, and that someday he too would become admirable just like them. A very touching story that to me only serves to make his later sacrifices all the more impactful. And with the Demon Slayer movie also swiftly approaching, there is plenty of Rengoku hype to be had. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you want to be here for when we cover what is going to certainly be a gorgeous 2-chapter Rengoku story, I suggest you subscribe to the channel, because when it comes to bringing you some of the best Demon Slayer content on the platform, Plot Armor has you covered. As always, I am Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.